I'm going to be speaking about good governance. Unfortunately, I'm going to focus more on governing us rather than governing the government. Because as soon as you talk about good governance, the first thing that somebody comes is he doing right? Is he doing wrong? Is he elected right? Is he elected wrong? But remember, in all of these statements that I'm saying, we have one denominator. Is he doing right to who? To you. Is he doing wrong to who? To you. Is he elected right? Who elected him? Us. Is he not elected right? Who did not elect him right? Us. So our focus put more strength on how do we change this and how do we make it work. So I'm going to focus on two things. When we're talking about governance, we have actually two parts that it takes. And if we really want to define the way we think, we want to define the paradigm, we have to look at it from these two angles. One, the angle of representation, and the angle of governance itself, which speaks about how do you govern others, that is, how do you become accountable or how do you hold them to account. Representation. Most of us sit at different locations and assumes nothing works. Most of us look at how things have been done and assume it should be the way it is. The only thing most of us don't do is we don't reflect on ourselves to see how different can we make it work. So first, what I want to speak about is how do you ask yourself the question, that right question that defines what do you need to do, what is your own capability, what is your capacity, what can you do, and what can't you do. Are you a member of any political party? We've been hearing the story that Zeke formed the party at the age of 40. But did you also know that he was a member of the National Youth Council, even when he was in his late 20s and in 30s? Most of us here are pushing towards 20s and are in our early 30s. And all we do is to sit and criticize without necessarily joining anything that will make any difference. We've had the story that Sardauna, that's Ahmed Bello, also formed the party when he was like 41. But is it that he just woke up overnight and became a political party owner? No. He was a member of the Jamian Mutane Arewa. We still have Jamian Mutane Arewa anyway in existence, but he was a member of Jamian Mutane Arewa. Then later on, he formed the APC, the NPC, the Northern People Congress. The same thing goes to Awolo. Now, some of us don't even believe these people achieved this at this age, but me, I'm not focusing on even them achieving that at that age. I'm focusing on telling you that they actually only achieved that because they decided to start something now. So the question is, what are you doing now that will make you that same political leader that determines how things are going to be done just in a few years to come? One fact is, if you didn't do anything now, then you will not see anything. Because if every day we are going to maintain the culture and the way we do our things, the only thing that's going to be constant is you get the same result, maybe better, but the same result. The only way you see the difference is to what extent did you get involved. Second, if you have a power of mobilization, have you ever taken your time to mobilize people, to ask the questions, to demand and to work with the people in authority, or even those in the political parties? Because when I come to the second part, we're going to talk more, which is this, we're going to talk more on those in the authorities. But basically, for those who are in the political parties, who are representing us, who has the power to decide now. Because if you choose to go through the governance, it's a very good part, we're going to discuss about it, but you're only going to be a chief executive but appointed by a politician. So if your aim is to rule, then is to start the political path. And the only way to do that is to mobilize, join, and start acting. Then the second part, the governance, which is the part of the executives that actually defines what we are. Have you ever heard of the saying that governance is actually a total sum of its own people? So if as a set of people, you are not doing anything, you don't get involved, you don't work, you don't try to understand how things are being done, at the end, what happens is, it keeps going, as he presented, he said you don't get to ask him question of what he is supposed to do for you. So it keeps going, and you keep trailing at the back, and nothing keeps changing, and you keep complaining, and yet you never get any result that will change. So it's just going to be a vicious cycle of difficulties. Why? Because at all, we don't get involved and we don't ask questions. How do you get involved in governance? Is it just because I want to know what the governor is doing and everything gets solved? No. First, I need to even understand, how does governance operate? How many of us, by show of hands here, knows that government makes budget every year? Now, if we know government make budget every year, how many of us can, by show of hand, know that government have the money to fund this budget every year? I still see some hands up, which is not actually true. So first is even understanding that the government does not even have the money, so it has a limited resources that is going to drive, that is going to use to fund those projects. Then you understand how these things are being done. Then you see at what point are you going to get involved and ask the questions so that your own priority setting, your own goals and your own results are being delivered. At what point do you get involved in this? Have you ever heard of what we call the multi-sectoral planning, which is a medium-term sectoral planning, which is in almost every sector, and if they are not doing it, go and ask them, do it together. What is the plan of our Ministry of Health to make sure that we have a good and robust health system that will attend to all medical needs of Bauchi State? What is our plan for the next 5 years? It will be wrong for you to sit down as a member of a community without asking such a question and demanding from the government, then pushing for it to get the result of.